Hello and welcome to episode 46 of Things I've Learned from Barry Harris. Today I thought we would discuss applying Barry's scale of chords to harmony or to just playing chords, say if you're comping for another instrumentalist or if you're comping for a singer, and how important it is. So I thought today we would take a look at G6. Take a look at the key of G primarily, and one of the most important progressions that starts things off for most people is 1, 6, 2, 5 in a given key. So most people will play the 1 chord, the 6 chord, which is E minor 7, the 1 chord being G major 7, and then the 2 chord, which is A minor 7, and the 5 chord, which is D7. So 1, 6, 2, 5 in the key of G. Now, if we want to really take a look at that, the 2 scale of chords I would suggest you work on to really accomplish trying to be comfortable with just playing those 4 chords are G6 diminished, and C6 diminished. Now the reason why I'm picking on just those 2 things is as follows, you'll see. The first 2 chords in a 1, 6, 2, 5 are G major to E minor 7. Now G major and E minor 7 in Barry's 6 diminished are the same chord, just a different inversion. So this G6 and this E minor 7 is the same exact 4 notes, just a different place. So that's one thing that you have to know how to do. So let's just take a look at a few things from G6 to another G6 or to E minor 7. So let's just maybe play up the scale. That was pretty, just playing up the scale. Also 1, 6, 2, 5, and then I ended on a C6. But now that's just playing up drop 2s. Obviously, if you have to know G6, you also have to know your drop 3s, which is start on a note, skip a string, play the next 3 strings. So another little idea. You also should know your scale in G6 in, let's say, thirds. So here's G6 in thirds. There's the weird one, which is the second. So you'd have to be able to do something in thirds. So let's say if we said, let's see. It's pretty, just 1, 6, 2, 5. Let's say if we did another thing, oh, let's do another one in thirds. Let's see. That's pretty too. Let's do another thing that you have to know in the scale of chords is sixths. So here's G6 in sixths. Pretty. Now let's try to do something in sixth. So let's say. Just going up the scale was pretty. Now maybe let's start on a diminished one. pretty. Another one in 6. Let's try another one. Let's see. The thing I'm doing on C6 is tenths. So perhaps we should learn G6 in tenths. So here's another one in G6 in tenths. So here's the scale in tenths. So maybe let's do something intense. Let's come up with something nice and tense. Let's see. Those are all nice. Those are little pretty ideas. Let's do another one. Let's see. Also nice. Okay, so that's G6 to E minor 7, and then I was adding the things. Now let's take a look at some of the things for A minor 7. Same idea. C6 diminished scale. So you have to know your C6 diminished scale. In drop 2, you have to know in drop 3, drop 2, drop 4. You have to know it in thirds. In thirds, you have to know it in sixths. You have to know it in tenths. Oh, same one, sorry. That's a nice one, tenths. I just recently saw a video of Barry doing something like, well, here's C6, and then he did the 2 diminishes around them. So that would be the 2/5. So maybe let's do something G6 to E minor 7. How about if we do sixths? So let's try, what we'll do, let's see. Those are pretty too. That was just the, I started off with the G6 diminished, and then I went into A minor 7, or thinking of it as C6 diminished. Let's do well, the tenths we did already. Let's try thirds. Or actually, what he does with thirds sometimes, which is beautiful, is he'll take the C major arpeggio, half step below each one of those. That's really pretty. So maybe let's try that one. Well, so let's say. Oh, I messed that up, sorry. So just look at how many different ways. Now, some of those I've obviously played before. A lot of them I haven't, to be perfectly honest. That's why I'm kind of stumbling through it a little bit. But it's just to show you, if you focus on it in a different way than you have before, which is just you're taking a piece of sheet music and it says, okay, G major to E minor 7, to A minor 7 to D7. And instead, you think of it as your scale of chords. Like that whole first part, G major to E minor 7, is just G6 diminished scale. That A minor 7 is just C6 diminished scale. Now, I didn't even talk about what you could play for D7, and there's a lot of things you could play for D7. There's just regular D7 diminished scale, which is something that he talks about. There's D7 flat 5 diminished scale, which he also talks about, one of Barry's 4 scale chords. There is, you could look at it as A minor 6 diminished, which is one of Barry's scale chords. You could look at it as, if you wanted to look at the tritones minor, which is a half step above the dominant, so a half step above D7 would be E flat minor 6. That's a pretty one. Let's just look at that for a second. There was E flat minor 6. We could have done that too, so maybe let me try to do something like that. That wasn't the prettiest, but so it just goes to show you there's a lot of different things, but knowing the scale of chords, in drop 2, drop 3, drop 2, drop 4, knowing the scale in thirds, in sixes, in tenths, just being able to do all different little things with them, starting on diminished notes instead of 6 notes. You can start on diminished notes like I did sometimes. So here's G6, but instead I started on this 6, which is diminished. So I could have started on this one, look. I love that sound of starting on a diminished. I mean, there are so many things to it, and all these videos, especially the videos in Holland, or actually any video of Barry teaching, you're going to hear these sounds, and it 100% comes from these scale of chords. So to really get the scale of chords on your instrument is super important. And borrowing notes, obviously, like I just pointed out, you know, things like this, where I'm borrowing from the diminished below. I mean, just all sorts of things. But it's knowing the scale of chords. And it also lets you know that even in a little intro or a little turnaround of 1-6-2-5, you can be so musical and so imaginative that you can really make something special out of what the average person will just play some 4 chords there, you know, which is fine too. There's nothing wrong with that, but this really gives you the ability to come up with different things. And as I tell a lot of my students, and as you've seen Barry say, I'm sure, what's beautiful about this is the ones that I come up with will be great. Not saying that what I'm coming up with is great, but I mean will be beautiful in their own way. But then the ones that everybody else comes with will be equally beautiful. And maybe I've never thought of them. And sometimes Barry hasn't thought of them. So people will come in with something on the 6 diminished scale, and he'll say, oh, what is that? And this is a man that's been looking at that scale for, I don't know, 80 years, almost 90 years. So it's pretty incredible. But, all right, anyway, I think I'll leave it there for episode 46. Hopefully this makes the wheels start to turn a little bit in thinking about the importance of Barry's scale of chords. Thanks. Until next time.